Good morning. I have a late start this morning because the internet was down at my house. It's amazing how dependent you become upon a thing that wasn't even around for any practical purposes 30 years ago. At any rate, today we have the reading from Acts 18, the ministry of Apollos. Now, a Jew named Apollos, a native of Alexandria, came to Ephesus. He was an eloquent man, well versed in the scriptures. He had been instructed in the way of the Lord, and being fervent in spirit, he spoke and taught accurately the things concerning Jesus, though he knew only the baptism of John. He began to speak boldly in the synagogue, but when Priscilla and Aquila heard him, they took him and expounded to him the way of God more accurately. And when he wished to cross to Achaia, the brethren encouraged him and wrote to the disciples to receive him. When he arrived, he greatly helped those who through grace had believed, for he powerfully confuted the Jews in public, showing by the scriptures that the Messiah was Jesus. Well, it's an interesting text that takes us back, of course, to the first century. Most of the earliest leaders of the church were also the martyrs. That was because Christianity was an unlicensed religion in the Roman Empire. And eventually, the critics would always mount. The critics would find a way to indict the Christian leadership. Here we have Apollos, who is a good example of someone with natural leadership ability that gets it right almost from the start, and puts together his natural ability with this powerful word of God that makes alive the dead and calls into being the things that do not exist. Paul might be considered another example of that. And certainly as church history progressed, you had such great minds as Ambrose of Milan, Augustine of Hippo, the Cappadocian Three. That's more Eastern thought there. The great Thomas Aquinas, who puts together such a great synthesis of Aristotelian theology, or philosophy, and Christian theology. And of course, down to our own mind, great minds who perceive what is the will of God and articulate it in a winsome way. It is connected with the presence and the activity of professional leaders in the church, and there is no place in which the church is more lacking in our age than in professional leaders, geniuses who get it right and articulate the word of God that makes alive the dead and calls into being the things that do not exist. Pray for the church around the world, not today the persecuted church, they need prayers every day, obviously. Pray for the church that we might come up with better leaders than what we're stuck with right now. Have a great weekend at this point. God bless.